Yo, what is up, boys and girls? Welcome back to another MiRecap. Today, we're going to be recapping MPL ID Season 14, Week 5. So, let's go and get through the teams. Alright, first up, we have Bigetron Alpha. Now, honestly, not a lot of notes here for Bigetron Alpha. The only sample we had this week was their match against EVOS Glory, so that's not really the best match to judge if the team is improved or not. But again, if we want to take it back to last week, Theo Nile, the analyst of Bigetron Alpha, said that first leg, it's more of an experimental leg. They wanted to test things out. They wanted to test different players out as well. And now it seems they are going to go full tryhard. We also heard the same statement from the players themselves in the interview. They're saying that in leg 2, they're going to be trying even more, trying even harder. I guess we'll have to wait for next week to really see if they have improved. Because next week, which is, well, actually tomorrow, they're going to go up against some big teams. They're going to go up against RRQ Hoshi mainly on Sunday. So can't wait for these matchups. Can't wait to see if they've actually improved or if teams have finally gotten the number of Bigetron Alpha. I will say, though, that Phoveus just really fits Luke's style. He's a playmaker that can deal damage as well. He's mainly, a hero that is used to zone opponents in fights to really enable the rest of the team. And so far, so good for Bigetron Alpha. Amazing for Luke as well. And it does seem like maybe the main lineup is going to be key. But I'm not too sure about that either. Again, we will really see the main lineup. We will really see the real Bigetron Alpha this week. Honestly, not much to say about Bigetron Alpha, so let's just move on to the other teams. I guess if I have to add something for Bigetron Alpha before we move on to Geek Fam, actually, it's the fact that for Bigetron Alpha, it looks like they're still very, very confident, right? In game number 2 against EVOS Glory, they did the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen in MPL ID. 5 people just diving into the fountain. So at least we're seeing the confidence still being there for Bigetron Alpha. Usually, for Bigetron Alpha, mental is always a problem for them. It seems they are okay still, and I really hope that this continues on with their next week performance and hopefully playoffs, because Bigetron Alpha, we all know what they tend to do in playoffs. For some reason, they always just choke into playoffs, and I hope this season it'll be different. All right, so for Bigetron Alpha, I'm actually going to keep them right here. I won't change anything for Bigetron Alpha. We'll see about the other teams, but based on their performance this week, again, they went up against EVOS, and I don't really think that's proper to put them like higher or even lower. So let's just put them right here. Bigetron Alpha will stay at number 3. Next, we have Geek Fam, and man, seriously, Geek Fam are just so inconsistent, and sometimes they're so inconsistent in a good way, because this week they were able to get a 2-0 win. That was their only match this week, by the way. They only have one match, actually. Yeah, they were up against Rebellion too. I don't really want to count that match though, because it was literally just a stomp. They had a match against Fnatic Onic. That was that's the real match that they had this week, right? And man, they did so well against Fnatic Onic. They schooled Fnatic Onic. They schooled the 4-time champions, bro. The 4-peat champions. It really starts in the draft though. For some reason, it just seems like Baloy and Bluffsy, they're both ex-Onic PH. Both of them have worked with Yeb in the past. They just have a read on Fnatic Onic's draft. And at this point, they're able to consistently outdraft Fnatic Onic in both games. Also, the main problems that we saw earlier in the season with the team being either too passive or too aggressive has really been fixed. They know when to take fights now. Chidera is definitely also going to be starting over Masako now that we are seeing this new Geek Fam. It's really because they want to play mainly for the trio mid and for the top side of the map to control neutral objectives. But with Chidera, why Chidera is better compared to Masako in this situation is because Chidera is the better weak side gold laner. He's definitely top 3 when it comes to the best weak side gold laner in MPL Indo. So, best choice for me right now, it's definitely Chidera. Veldora or Gobs, it does seem like Veldora is actually doing a pretty good job, even though I've been a big fan of Gobs. So, I guess we'll see how Veldora gets to, again, adapt to the team and how this team actually continues to grow. They play mainly through the trio mid, and Chidera is best on weak side. Again, Chidera almost never loses lane. I've never seen him actually lose out in the lane solo, at least. And he becomes a monster in the mid to late, becomes a really good plan B for the team. That's why you only see him on Moskov's, most of the times. You see him on Rogers too, but Rogers are always banned out against Geek Fam. There is one negative when it comes to Geek Fam, and it's still Vincent on anything else except the Roger. Like, when teams ban out the Roger, it does seem like Vincent isn't as much of a threat in the game. He's still really good on retries. He's still really consistent. But yeah, when he doesn't get Roger, he isn't able to be the carry of the team. You know what I mean? So if they fix that, Geek Fam are actually going to be very, very complete. Oh my, Cloudy's. Yeah. But yeah, we can't talk about Geek Fam without talking about this moment. So let's just talk about the moment. Here in game 2 against Fnatic Onic, I especially want to highlight the last 2 picks for Geek Fam because the last 2 picks for Geek Fam are just perfect, right? It's so good. The Yve here does really well, mainly against the Vixana. You get to basically outrange the Vixana. You bully her in lane as well. You do pretty good. When it comes to clear, Vixana should still have an advantage there, but still, the main problem isn't really the Yve, right? The main point that I want to bring up is the Mathilda. The Mathilda pick here is just so much value. It's so much value because, obviously, you know, for Nolan and the Phoveus, they want to go in. Nolan, we don't even need to count the Nolan, but what it does give to the rest of the team is another escape tool. You already have a team with Moskov and Nolan with a lot of escape tools. Add in a Mathilda, and now they're going to be even harder to kill. And we get to see that in the game itself. But really, where this Mathilda pick shines is how it actually enables the Phoveus to be even more aggressive. Usually when we see the Phoveus, you go in and you either win the team fight or you die. That's Phoveus right now, especially with no flicker. You can only bring Vengeance on this hero, or you've seen people bring Revitalize. But yeah, the Mathilda gives the Phoveus a way to escape. Meanwhile, you know, this is obviously just synergy for Geek Fam, but if we're talking about the value of this pick up against Fnatic Onic too, this is amazing because every single hero on the side of Fnatic Onic actually does get countered by the Mathilda in a way too. Carry needs someone to be needs someone to stay still while she deals damage, while she shreds through any one of the members from Geek Fam. Mathilda enables the rest of the team to basically get out of that spot. Vixana wants to chain CC. Hylos as well wants to go and chase. Julian needs to land his skills to actually deal damage and needs these members to actually be locked down in place. You need to be locked down by either his chain or a Hylos stun for that enhanced side to really start shredding you down. So the Mathilda does well against everything. Everyone here needs to land their skills or needs these members to stay put so that some of their damage dealers can deal damage, like CW, or sorry, like Carry and the Julian, and technically even the Vixana. But even then, Vixana is going to have a tough time. So yeah, Mathilda pick here was just genius. But yeah, we can't talk about Geek Fam's performance without seeing this. And okay, so let's replay this real quick, all right, guys? So I already asked Baloyski as well, and he told me he knew Kyrie was somewhere around here trying to ambush Vincent because Vincent was last seen in the bottom lane clearing out the wave. So he knew that Kyrie was going to be somewhere here. He thought maybe in this bush. But how does he know where Kyrie is? There's a feature in the game that if no one's here, then this eye feature, when you walk up into a bush, will come out instantly. But if you walk in, this is obviously not in the spectator's view, because spectator's view, you can see that the eye logo comes up instantly too, but it's in the personal, like, pro player view, all right? It's in their own view. When he walks in, this eye logo was delayed. So Baloyski already checked this bush. The only other bush that Kyrie could be in where he could be able to see Baloyski would be the bush that you see right here. So after walking into this bush, he basically knows where he's at, calls for Vincent to walk up with him, and then as Vincent is already in position, he gets into a better position to just go for the wild charge. Vincent comes in and destroys Kyrie. Yeah, it just comes down to in-game knowledge. It's instincts, but also a good read with the eye icon thing. But yeah, it's already, he knew that Kyrie was somewhere around there. Plus the iframe, the eye icon thing, it gives him a massive advantage. Where will Geek Fam go? I personally will go and put them all the way to top tier. They are there, bro. When it comes to, if they have found their lineup, the lineup that they're using right now, if this is the main lineup and they keep on working with this lineup and they focus on this lineup and they focus on not making those crazy random overcommitments to the cheese picks like the Gatot Kacha, if they play normally and utilize those cheese picks in the right situations, this team might end up winning MPL Indonesia Season 14. I'm not even joking. This is how good Geek Fam are. Again, there are still some, weaknesses of Geek Fam, mainly Vincent when he doesn't get the Roger, stuff like that, that keeps them from becoming a full crazy force. But I still think they are probably the second best team right now based on their performance in week 5. When they're at their peak, they probably will be like number 1. They probably are the strongest team in MPL ID. But they're a bit too inconsistent for me to put them there just yet. We'll see in week 6. I really hope Geek Fam manages to take that spot though. Let's see what happens. All right, now that we're done with Geek Fam, let's move on to Liquid. Honestly, against Dewa, there was no reason for the match to go 2-1. Liquid are just much better than Dewa. Against Alter Ego, that's the real Liquid. They completely curb stomped Alter Ego to the ground. I already said this last week. I said that Liquid is basically a better Alter Ego, but I did not expect Alter Ego to get manhandled like that by Liquid. Still, though, I want to talk about the match against Dewa because we did see some holes in their game. Maybe it was because they're up against Dewa, they were overconfident perhaps. But yeah, game 2, very, very uncharacteristic stuff from Liquid. Very easy to fix, but still, they're usually always fine with letting go the first 2 turtles as long as Fabian or Aaron gets a trade. But in game number 2, I think there was a miscom. Fabian was in a bad spot to go for the turtle, yet Aran just went in with a penalty zone. But yeah, what Liquid really is strong, what makes them really strong is the fact that they are very, very smart. They're intelligent players. On top of their mechanics, obviously, they are really intelligent. They will make, their gameplay is more of like improv gameplay. They will adapt on the go, in the fly. In every single game, and every single draft, it'll be different, and they will be able to adapt to that. In games where they leave the first neutral objective, they will always find a trade on the other side of the map. They either get Aaron a better side on an Atan. Aaron's maneuvers, Aaron's like movement is just really good. I would say Liquid actually plays like a PH team. That's the compliment that I will give Liquid because they are so good at adapting to different situations and even adapting in losing situations, which is very rare to see in Indo. Because in Indo, for the most part, at least for, you know, the teams in the bottom, or the teams in mid-table towards bottom, we never see teams go for trades. We always just see teams fight and fight and fight, commit to neutral objectives, and Liquid takes it a different route. They're able to outplay all their opponents because of that. There is one weakness, though, however, with this kind of style. It can be exploited as well by stronger teams. They tend to look for trades for the first neutral objectives 80% of the time. It really depends on the draft, but especially if they have an Atan, if they have a Nolan even, they will actually stray away from going for neutral objectives. So this could be punished. If teams can try to take the objectives while also stopping the trade from happening, then Liquid will definitely struggle because that automatically becomes a double win for the opposing team. So I'm not saying that Liquid is unbeatable right now because clearly RRQ Hoshi were able to beat them as well. Still though, Liquid are really good. They are improving after every single week. They are becoming better and better and better. They're improving at such a fast pace. And I already said this last week, but I'll say it again. Liquid is probably an Indonesian team with the highest potential. They are the highest potential Indonesian team right now. They can go places as long as they stay focused on their main objective, which is, again, improving, okay? So, yeah, no. When it comes to rookies, too, I think Fabian will probably get it. If it's not Fabian, it'll probably be Aaron or Edok. But, yeah, rookies, everyone on Liquid, all the rookies here, the 3 rookies that we have are all so good. Even Witty. We kind of doubted Witty last week, but I'll have to say Witty, amazing shot calls. His show is so good. He's already playing with Yaoi in the team, technically. Like, he's not in the team. He's not playing in the lineup, but he is in the lineup. He's still there backstage together with them, so he probably learned a few tricks from Yaoi with the Cho, and it kind of shows. He's really, really good. Team Liquid, unfortunately, I'm still not convinced. Despite them obviously doing a really good job, I am not convinced that they are top tier just yet. They will still be in mid-table. To be fair, they are top tier. They are there. But they haven't really been able to go up against any of these teams just yet. They haven't been able to take them on at their peak. Yes, they were able to beat Geek Fam. Yes, we did see that. But not peak Geek Fam. Geek Fam were just so inconsistent, and they were using different lineups still. Leg 2 is where we will decide to see, like, where we will see these teams decide where they deserve to be. There you go. That's what I was going to say. Because potentially, Liquid could also be the best team in Indo. I think that might... A lot of you guys would probably be like, bro, what the fuck? Stop glazing Liquid. But no, their players are so good. The drafts have been amazing. I think they have the potential to be. Remember, this is a team with 3 rookies. They have so much room to grow just in this season alone. And we still have 4 more weeks. There's a lot of potential. So I'm going to keep them here. But honestly, this doesn't do them justice. I would honestly want to put them in top tier. You know what? Let's put them in top tier. I'm putting them in top tier. Okay, next we have EVOS Glory. And, man, I really wanted this team to do well this season with the rosters, you know, not changing. I kind of trusted them in trusting the process. But unfortunately, I think we have to put EVOS in the GOAT category. You might have to put them all the way together with Rebellion because of the way that they play. There are going to be some big changes to EVOS Glory, though. They've already announced that EVOS Glory will be getting 3 new members from the MDL coming up. Fluffy is going to be out. He's going to be replaced by Psychots. You guys probably know who Psychots is. Psychots was the XP lane for EVOS when they won ISF 2022. So Psychots is back up there. We have 2 new rookies as well that you guys can see on your screen right here in the mid lane and roam position. So they're changing the entire trio mid format almost. With the XP, roam, and mid, they're going to play. I don't know who they're going to play in the gold lane, but honestly, at this point, with this lineup, I think it does fit brands more. Like, having a weak side gold laner here over Natco would be better. And in the jungle, Anavel, keep Anavel. Anavel's still really, really good. But yeah, if you guys want to know what this lineup can bring to EVOS Glory, this lineup is an MDL lineup that is super aggressive. They are very, very aggressive. They want to go for team fights. They want to go for neutral objectives. And for the most part, for EVOS Glory, it almost seems like, okay, let's talk about the previous roster first, because the way they play is not even MDL level. They are below MDL level. They have no idea when to go into fights. They have no idea when to stop fighting, and they just go for fights and fight. It's so random. It almost seems like they play without thinking. And it's honestly ridiculous to see pro players play like this. But I think there's one real example where EVOS Glory, I forgot which, against Bigetron Alpha, obviously, they lost out. Fluffy was not level 4. He was level 3 in the XP lane, yet he still walked up. Yet the whole team still decided to commit. And like, what do you expect from doing that? What do you expect to achieve when you're a level down to go for turtles like this, to go and contest? It is ridiculous. And they make the worst calls possible. To keep it simple, that's what happens. They make the worst calls possible. Seriously. I'm glad that there's finally a change. And honestly, with this lineup, I haven't been watching too much MDL, but I know that these players are very aggressive. I know these players can test neutral objectives from my sources, and I know these players have an understanding as to when they want to control neutral objectives, when they want to fight neutral objectives. So that should give EVOS improvements. Will it be enough to bring them to playoffs? I highly doubt it. I think it is a bit too late to make this change. Last season when we saw it, it was earlier in the season that they made a full change lineup. You know, it was I think week 3 or week 4. So yeah, now coming into week 6, it might be too late. But I'm glad that they are at least making changes. I'm glad that they haven't given up. Like I said earlier, I think it's truly time to put EVOS down here with Rebellion. Knowing that they're going to make, they're going to add in a few new members. Honestly, they should be better than Dewa. They might even be able to contest against Alter Ego. But we're judging this based on week 5. And week 5, EVOS, again, with this new roster, they should be they should be higher than Dewa or right here, like right below Alter Ego in mid-table. But week 5 was just horrible. So I'm sorry, EVOS. I'm gonna have to put you there. Rebellion. Still the same problem as last week for Rebellion. Drafts were horrible in game number 1. Akai, Rome, and Edith XP. They tried this twice already. It almost seems like they just don't learn, man. This isn't MDL. This isn't low-tier MLBB. Well, I know a lot of you guys will probably still call MPL ID low tier, but I believe MPL ID is not low tier, all right? Especially the top 4 teams, at least. Like, the top 5 teams are really, really good, right? And then we have all the other teams, which are internationally probably low tier. But let's talk about it like this. Akai, Roman, Edith, XP, there is only one thing that this comp does well, and it is neutral objectives. This composition is built only for turtles, only for neutral objectives. After you get the lead, and it's not even going to be a massive lead if the enemy team knows how to play around it. The enemy team can do what? The enemy team exactly can just trade. It's not that hard when you have a composition that is one-dimensional like this. You are not going to win an MPL match. I cannot believe we are seeing this kind of draft in MPL ID. This is some low tier shit, baby. I mean, this is some crazy shit. Oh man, the game early on, it's great because it's about turtles. You want to control neutral objectives, but then there is no proactivity. You have no way to actually force the issue on your opponents, to actually get map control, to control anything aside from neutral objectives. Okay, let's stop talking about the drafts, right? Because the drafts are horrible. We knew that. The players, however, if the drafts wasn't enough of a problem for Rebellion, game 2 against, who was it against? Wait, I forgot who they were up against. Alter Ego. Yes, game 2 against Alter Ego was insane, my dudes. Oh my god. Okay. Game 2 against Alter Ego. They had an 8,000 gold lead. The drafts were finally good. Coach Farr and Vivi did good in the drafts. The players have no composure. Oh my goodness, man. To actually close out games. This is very, very troubling, man, because you can see it on your screen. There is no reason for them to go for this skirmish. Absolutely not. With an 8,000 gold lead, with a base turret already, with the First Lord. You have the First Lord and an 8,000 gold lead. And you got a base turret off of the First Lord. That's GG. There is no possible way a high tier team should lose a game like this. Unless, obviously, you know, you're up against AP Brent. You're up against a... You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You're up against a god, right? This could have been very easy. They back away. They freeze the waves, wait for the next neutral objective, control the map again, suffocate their opponents, and ultimately get the game. But no, they decided, hey, we want to go on team fight. This is... I'm sorry, man. I like Cars. Cars is amazing, but this is such a big mistake. And then X-Win... I swear to God, everybody, for some reason, has been hyping X-Win up. I'm sorry, man, but when your Earthshatter flickers miss all the time, this is some Milo type shit, baby. This is crazy. Earthshatter flicker, MPL level. Audi doesn't miss Earthshatter flickers as much as this, bro. Come on. This is not an improvement. I honestly feel Audi is still better, but tell me what you guys think. Ridiculous stuff. They need to fix a lot of things. Rebellion have the most issues out of any team. And goddamn, 8,000 gold lead. How do you throw that? First base turret, one base turret with the First Lord. Get me out of here. Rebellion. If now we're putting them below GOAT. They don't deserve to be called GOATs, bro. Holy shit. Okay. Next, we have Dewa United. Last week, I already said that without Hijime, the team lacks a lot of playmaking capabilities, and Case is more of a standard carry who plays from the back, unlike Hijime, who creates plays and space for the team. We've seen both sides right now. Like, Dewa are trying both. I said last week there were two ways to take this, right? Either Kaze plays the playmaking heroes and plays the way Hijime does and adapts to the team, or the team plays around him. The team seems to be trying to adapt to Kaze in that way, both ways, and both has been failing. Like, when they try to play for Kaze, they just completely lose their identity. They have nothing special about them. Literally nothing. But when Kaze tries to replicate what Hijime has been able to do, it's good up until a certain point. Up until a point where the enemy team knows, like, oh, wait, okay, we can do it. We can just outplay them, because even though it's the good Dewa playstyle, it's still beatable, and you need to be good in the mid lane. Kaze is not it for now. I am so sorry, Kaze. I'm a big fan of him. I was actually I rooted for the Dewa lineup in season 12 with Kaze, Shaco, Lanaya, and Dixon over the lineup that they deployed with Leo Murphy and, you know, all the star players, because that was really what Dewa United is. They should have kept those rookies. They should have built on those rookies, but instead they're going for star players. I get why. But now they can't even keep their star players. I have no idea what happened to Hijime, guys. I haven't even seen him in MPL. I think there might be like an issue that he has with the team, because usually when we see players get subbed off, I still meet them in MPL. I have not seen Hijime the last 2 weeks. What happened to Hijime? I have no idea. But yeah, they're still very... If we actually said Rebellion is not an MDL team, you know, they're worse, and EVOS are worse than an MDL team. They're literally just an MDL team. They just go for team fights and neutral objectives, and then fight, and then fight, and then 50-50 it. Hopefully, they get a win. Watt is so 50-50 as well, by the way. Like, there are so many moments where it's just like, what are you doing? Oh, they were lost. They were certainly lost, man. Their drafts have been okay, though. Seriously. Their drafts are pretty good. They have to fix these issues. It's not like it's unfixable. It's getting to a point where it's going to be very tough to fix, because we're entering the 6th week of MPL ID. There's only going to be 4 more weeks. But yeah, this week is a chance for them to actually get wins. So I'm expecting Dewa to get wins. You guys will see in the match prediction later. For me, no change for Dewa United. I think they're just going to be in no playoffs right now. Like, yeah, that's it. Okay, next we have Alter Ego. What can I really say about Alter Ego? It seems Alter Ego and EVOS are like, they're just the same team. Both make very wrong calls in clutch moments. Drafts are okay, but they are very reliant on Nile. It really comes down to if Nile can carry the team. The team is so inconsistent too. It's just, Owen makes so many weird plays. Nino can only play Hylos Phovius. Oh, it's tough for Alter Ego. And Terizla, yeah, sure. even then it's hard. No structure. Seems like it's just 5 individuals playing rather than a team. And honestly, I don't even have clips for Alter Ego. I don't have clips because most of the times they win because their opponents make mistakes in this week. Yeah, I'm just gonna move to the tier list for Alter Ego. And honestly, guys, they're so inconsistent. I want to put them right here. I don't think we have a mid-table team in this season. We have 4 teams who just like 4 teams who are bad, and we have 5 good teams. That's what we have. We don't have a mid-table right now. It's concerning, but it's also good in a way, because if you take a look at MPL PH, this is also like what is happening for the most part. They have 4 really good teams, 5 really good teams, and then the bottom teams, they just don't get points against the 5. But yeah, this is like MPL Philippines season 13, if you remember. Top 5 really close, and then bottom 4 just this is what we're seeing in season 14 right now. I don't even want to say Alter Ego or mid-table. Seriously, the way that they're playing, they don't deserve to make it to playoffs. But hey, we have 6 teams who make it to playoffs, so they probably will make it to playoffs. Again, though, this is my tier list. I do whatever the fuck I want. And no, they are here for sure. All right, Fnatic Onic. Man, I don't know what happened to Fnatic Onic. But again, this is a concern that I've been bringing up for the last few weeks as well. The drafts have been weird, man. The drafts have been weird. At times, the draft look weird, and here it is at its ultimate weirdness. It is at its peak. We can see the draft in the game against Geek, both games. I don't want to count their other game because their first game was against EVOS, so it's the same with Bigetron, right? We don't really want to count that match. But yeah, they picked Brody, and they didn't play for the Brody. So it's not just the draft, but also the way that they played around it, right? Game 1, they picked Brody, and they decided to play Brody weak side. If that's the case, why pick Brody at all? You know what I mean? Game 1 was horrible. They picked a Lolita into a Grok. They revealed the Brody to hide the Hylos flex, and the Hylos isn't a threat here anymore, not for Fnatic Onic as a flex pick, because Rez has been exposed too. He plays really well on comfort heroes. Again, because he's a rookie, I want to put in a layer of context here, all right? Because people will clip this out of context. I'm not trying to hate on Rez. Rez is a rookie, so it makes sense. He does well on heroes that he's comfortable with. Terizla, Grok, and Arlet. In the first few performances, he always got these picks, so it was all good. But now that they're trying to flex a bit more with, the high-lows going into his hands and stuff like that, it does seem like he hasn't been able to perform on heroes other than Terizla, Grok, and Arlet. We'll see this week if he has improved, because obviously he's a rookie and he can improve. But the drafts need to be fixed. The Cho pick in game 2 is one of the worst Cho picks in MPL ID, in my opinion. The Brody was okay, but then they didn't play for the Brody. The Lolita pick into Grok was more of a what for me. And yeah, I don't know, guys. You know me. You know I've been against the whole Kyrie Esports thing whenever it's untrue. MSC, it was untrue. Even though most people still said Kyrie Esports, I said untrue. It's not Kyrie Esports. M5, people were saying Kyrie Esports. Untrue. When the team isn't Kyrie Esports, I don't want to be calling them Kyrie Esports, because I want to give respects to everybody who's been playing well. M4, however, it was truly Kyrie Esports. There is no way to argue about that. And I've also been I was one of the people who actually did say also, yeah, M4 was Kyrie Esports. Is it just me? But Season 14, Onic, it almost seems like they're going back to M4. I don't know what happened. Because this is not Onic. But it seems like when Kyrie performs well on the Assassins, they win. But if he doesn't, and it's not just Kyrie Esports, this is Jungle Esports. Because Albert, when he does well on the Roger, on the Julian, when he can carry the team, he carries the team. When Kyrie carries the team, it's Kyrie/Albert Esports. Is it not? I don't see any other member really popping off as hard this week, okay? And actually the last 2 weeks. But the only match where I really saw Fnatic Onic play like Fnatic Onic was against Bigetron Alpha. Against Bigetron Alpha, everybody was performing, except maybe Suns, but everybody was performing. This week, though, right? Am I crazy here? It just feels like Rebellion, or it just feels like Albert Esports or Kyrie Esports. Yeah. So where am I going to put Fnatic Onic? I'm going to have to put them right here below Bigetron Alpha. Yes, the drop down is pretty significant because the drafts have been off. If the drafts were somehow good, if Geek Fam just completely outplayed Fnatic Onic, then I would say Fnatic Onic will still deserve to be here. But the thing is, they got outdrafted, and even the way they play was not the way that I think they were meant to play it. So it's not just a drafting issue, but it's also a player issue. Usually, back in the day, Fnatic Onic would give these really weird drafts to the players, but the players would know how to make it work. And we would all just look like idiots because we would question the drafts and Fnatic Onic would make it work. Now you give them a draft that doesn't, that you don't give them a traditional draft, and they have no idea what to do with it. They were given the Brody, and they played Brody weak side. Yeah. Don't know what it is with Fnatic Onic. I really hope we can get to see them, do better this week because they are going to be going up against RRQ. It's a big match. But yeah, for now, that's where they stand. Last but definitely not least, we have RRQ Hoshi. Their only match this week is against Dewa, so we can't really judge RRQ Hoshi based on that. It's very clearly an experimental game as well. Like, they should never win 2-1 against Dewa. Let's be honest here. 10 out of 10 times they should win 2-0 against Dewa. Game 1 was a big throw from Sutsujin. That was just, I don't know what happened there, but it's a big throw from Sutsujin. Game 2 is normal RRQ, 9 minutes and 44 seconds. Game 3, they tested things out with against a very Skylar-centric draft. It almost seems like in Game 3, they were like, you know what? Let's give the viewers a flashback as to what RRQ was last season. Because, dude, their Game 3 draft was legit just Season 13. It was Fredrin in the jungle. It was Juicin. Well, we didn't have Juicin last season. But, again, this whole composition from Game 3 RRQ was literally just appeal for Skylar. It is protect Mr. President. They went back to Skylar Esports in Game 3. And it just shows me that they're really comfortable. The fact that they can bring out compositions like this, play just for one member, and still win it out, it's still impressive, right? But, again, it's an experimental week. I don't really want to knock them down to number 2 because of this performance, even though it was a 2-1 against Dewa and they should never get a 2-1 against Dewa. It's okay. RRQ, very, very good. Number 1 still. Players overextending and becoming overconfident could be a problem for the team too, though, if they don't handle it now, because, again, Sutsujin, Dairen, a bit too greedy in the first game. Game 3 as well, there was a lot of moments where they were overconfident, but they need to have proper respect for their opponents. If this gets fixed here, it's great. If not, then hey, they have big matches this week against Fnatic Onic and also Bigetron. So if they lose both, it could actually be a big punch into the face for RRQ. So yeah, hopefully they learn from the mistakes that they made against Dewa and they keep moving forward. As I said earlier, no changes for RRQ. They are still number 1. We'll see how they do this week, week 6, to see if they actually get knocked down by either Bigetron or Fnatic Onic, maybe, because RQ will be going up against Bigetron. We'll be going up against Fnatic Onic. Maybe Geek Fam rise at the top. Who knows? We'll see. Now we're going to go through top 3 for per role, all right, guys? So let's start with XP per role. I think XP based on week 5's performance. Number 1, it's still Super Luke. Super Luke is the most complete XP laner right now. Even though his style mostly is, playmaking. He's not really complete in the carry department, but right now all we need is playmaking. Enablers are in the meta, and Luke plays every single enabler. The Terizla, Arlet, Ruby, name everything, all right? He plays it. The Phobias too. We haven't seen him on the Hylos, but that's it. The Yuzong even he plays. So yeah, number 1, I would definitely say it is Super Luke. Number 2 is where it gets a bit tough, but I still think I'm going to have to say it is going to be Dairen. Dairen number 2. Dairen number 2, still very, very complete. Sets up for the team really well. Why did you play Banana? I'm always going to play. Every time I speak about Dairen, every time I talk about Dairen, I'm always going to say this. There is no fucking way Banana and Don actually played over this guy last season. I don't know what the coaching staff was drinking, brother, but they were not drinking water. That's what I know, all right? Dairen should have played from last season. Best XP in RRQ, hands down. If we're not talking about R7, obviously, because he's retired. But third, top 3, number 3. Got to think about this one again. Aran has definitely made a case for himself, but I think Veldora is a safe option to go for. Veldora in the 3rd position. Jungle, let's go. Number 1, I am going to say... Oh, man, Jungle. You know what? Based on their performance this week, Favion, Flava Fave, the Usurper, number 1, best jungler in week 5. Number 2, I'm going to have to think about all the individual performances here. Sutsujin made blunders. Kyrie didn't really perform that well this week. This is a bad week for junglers, man. But I guess I'll have to say Super Ken. Super Ken number 2. And then number 3, Sutsujin, based on week 5's performance. Mid lane, number 1, A boy. A boy. All right? Number 2. Number 2, Yehezkiel. This guy has a lot of potential. Number 3, Moreno. That is the list for mid lane. Roamer. Rome is a bit tough. Number 1 best roamer this week. Baloyski. Number 1 is not even close, actually, now that I think about it. Baloyski, number 1. Number 2, though. Edok. Number 3. Shoutouts to Widdy. I'm going to give a shout out to Widdy. Widdy performed pretty well this week. On the Cho too, he played really good. Yeah, I'm gonna do this for this week. Key not in here, yes, because I mean it's tough to put Bigetron Alpha members here. They only won against EVOS this week. But yeah, there you go. Those are the top 3. And now last but definitely not least, gold lane number 1, Skylar. Skylar. Number 2. Oh shit. Number 2. Number 1 is Skylar for sure. I'm thinking about Chidera or Eman here at number 2 because Eman really didn't have an amazing week here. I would still say Eman. You know what? Yeah. Number 2, Eman. And then number 3, probably Chidera / Aaron Shiki. We'll put Chidera and Aaron Shiki in the same category there because, yeah, it was really, really good. Really, really good performances. There you go, guys, for the rankings. Now let's move on to the match predictions. All right, so we have the prediction segment here for week 6. I'm just going to go and give you guys a quick rundown. Bigetron versus Dewa. This is going to be a 2-0. If you guys want to get free guest coins, this is it, all right? Yes? Okay, let's go through last week because I got every single match correct except for Geek Fam versus Fnatic Onic. Yeah, this is the only game I got wrong. Everything else I got 100% correct. So far, last week it was 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 out of 8. I got 1 out of 8 wrong, all right? I got 7 out of 8 correct. So if you guys want free guest coins, just predict whatever I predict. Bigetron versus Dewa, 2-0. Bigetron Alpha, should be. TLID versus Rebellion, 2-0. TLID, should be. Dewa versus EVOS, this is going to be tough. But listen, I honestly feel like EVOS will be able to get the dub here with their new lineup. EVOS 2-1. Very close, though. This is a bit more 60-40. This is honestly 50-50 because I don't know how the EVOS players will do. I just know that usually EVOS, whenever they get new players, they have a massive morale boost. Alter Ego versus Geek Fam. This should be a Geek Fam win 2-0, but if Geek Fam stay inconsistent, it's going to be 2-1. Still, though, this is a 70-30 kind of game. 80-20, I would even say. Geek Fam are just so much better, like with everything in the core fundamentals. Fnatic Onic versus RRQ Hoshi. This is a tough one. This is a 60-40 matchup to RRQ Hoshi. I think RRQ Hoshi should be able to take this game 2-1 though. I think Fnatic Onic will make changes, but again, knowing that Fnatic Onic were outdrafted by Geek, RRQ will be able to try to use that blueprint to beat Fnatic Onic. And it does seem like RRQ are more of a complete team right now compared to Fnatic Onic, so I'm gonna have to say RRQ 2-1. EVOS versus Alter Ego. Ooh, wait. This one's a tough one. This is 50-50, guys. I have no idea who's going to take this one. I'm just going to go with my gut feeling for EVOS versus Alter Ego. And I'm going to say EVOS. I'm going to say EVOS 2-1. I think they should be able to get a 2-0 week this week with their new lineup. TLIE versus Fnatic Onic. Oh, man. 60-40 to Fnatic Onic, I think. On paper, Fnatic Onic should win this. 60% to 40%. But you know what? I'm going to predict TLID. 2-1, TLID. RQ versus Bigetron. This should be a 60 to 40% matchup, all right? 60% to RQ. I'm going to give you guys my own predictions and obviously like objective stats here. That's why I said Fnatic Onic, they have the higher chance to win against TLID. TLID are definitely the underdogs there. Statistically as well, Fnatic Onic should be able to beat TLID, but for some reason, I think TLID might be able to pull off a 2-1 victory. Here, RRQ, they're definitely favored to win. They're definitely the more complete team. Bigetron Alpha make way more mistakes compared to RRQ Hoshi. But again, this is leg 2. I feel like Bigetron should be able to deliver on their promises. This is going to be very close. I don't care what it is. I really don't care if RRQ wins or Bigetron wins because I'm a fan of KSQ, Skylar, and NMM and Dyron from RRQ. And Bigetron, I'm a Bigetron boy. It'll go 3 games for sure. Yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 Bigetron because I'm biased. But hey, RRQ are definitely favored to win this one. So make your predictions based on that. Everything else, though, I think this is going to be a banger of a week, by the way. We have 3 headliners. We have 2 match of the days for Sunday, 15 September. TL ID versus Fnatic Onic and RRQ versus Bigetron. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait.